Well, what can I say about our next performer, Mr. Emil Sercombe? If you've never seen Emil before, well, you won't know what's going to come next after each poem. He is a fantastic performer, fantastic writer. I should have mentioned also that Pete and Emil share something else in common. They're both artists, painters, and Pete in particular is a sculptor. So you're going to see a fantastically visual, I think, set of work here. So without more ado, please welcome Mr. Emil Sercombe.
Anyone might think the werewolf of today doesn't care about appearances. The werewolf rushing through the city. No one stops to talk about his coat. That's where you would be wrong. Werewolves are very particular. Fangs must be well brushed, gums a juicy scarlet, nostrils wet and black, claws sharp as a shark's tooth, yellow as a bull's horn, clean as a whistle, eyebrows smooth black crescent moons, and tongue dripping lots of clear saliva. And another thing, people say werewolves must be smelly. Not a bit of it. They wash before meals, they're spotless behind the ears, and because they're part French, they use a bidet. Another little known fact is that they shave off unsightly underarm hair and use a deodorant. Why do they do this? You wouldn't want a victim to feel let down, frustrated at having their throat torn out by a mangy werewolf, would you? Their dying screams of ecstatic terror ruined by revulsion. Imagine a werewolf with blunt claws and bad breath, nausea, dirty nostrils, less than 100% bristly fur, laughter, pity. Now I'm going to go and eat an architect. Are you an architect? Delicious. The most basic animal in the universe. The worm. Basic form, just a core. Worm of the diaspora. Soldier on, soldier worm. Worm, 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 worm. Breaks open the crust of Mother Earth, breathes, and sees a beautiful cloud. In the cloud, yes, a vision of God. A thrush, probably atheist, not seeing the cloud or God, eats him.
Yeah.
This vision-seeing martyr worm now lives in heaven. The thrush was merely a tool in the worm's radiant flight when it eventually fell out of its tree. No heavenly chorus, no crown of gold, only a brown circle and 15 hungry worms. Worm, 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 worm. Worm, 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 worm. Worm, 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 worm. Worm, 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 worm. Worm, 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 worm. And Verdun of Galzaba took tea with the Emperor Quaz, and together they discussed how best to persecute the Celts. Verdun, later riding home, was assailed by abdominal pains. Squatting alone in the woods, he fell dead. Pathology revealed his insides were full of worms. All of these were buried alive, save one who claimed to have been the Emperor Justinian in a previous life. It was purple, crowned at each end with bands of gold, had 80 legs, knew the composition of roads, delighted in baths of alternating hot and cold, and spoke exceptional Latin. But an envious vizier fed it to the royal eagle, Rock, who in a previous existence had been a mere unskilled pyramid builder in the dynasty of Cheops, thus fulfilling an ancient prophecy of Pythagoras: thy highest creatures shall be as 11's is in the next life. Transplant Now, our weekly probe into the frontiers of microsurgery. Some of you may know, but I've been particularly interested in vegetable transplants, and my particular field at present is cabbage. How did this start, you ask? Well, I noticed from personal experience that a thoroughly dirty scalp makes excellent soil for mushrooms, so I wondered would it also do for other vegetables. So I experimented with just an acre of cabbages. People laugh at me, ha ha ha, but I say I have a fine crop of green where once I was born. I'm sheltered from the sun and make good use of the rain, and when it is windy, my fine leaves rustle comforting music in my ears. And at 20 pence a cabbage, my crop will be worth £648. What then, you ask? Lie fallow for a while? Goodness me, no! I intend to rotate my head. Then, on the left, 2 acres of leeks, to the right, potatoes and spinach. Down the centre, like a Mohican, 600 yards of sweet corn. After that crop, off to Greece for a couple of months, cultivating vineyards on the slopes and olives on the plateau. Do I still do mushrooms on the side, you're wondering? Yes, my ear holes are active all year round. Delicious. If any of you would like to cultivate your talents, lines are open now. And the number is OI, if you're outside Nottingham, OI7, OU6, 5, OI, what you think? Thank you for listening and good night. Good evening, fellow cyclists here tonight. We British have been having a lean slice of the market recently, so rally boffins put their heads together and came up with this incredible machine, which has the feather lightness of the Claude Butler, the rude strength of the muddy fox. Aerodynamic, it's 38 gears, alloy everywhere, and totally indestructible. The ultimate folding bicycle. Brakes fold into the handlebars. 1/4 turn on the head bolt, they drop inwards. Internal flexing facilitates folding towards the stem, into which they lock and which slides into the chest tube. The seat rolls and slides into the seat stem which slides into the frame hip. The wheels unzip, fold into the forks, which go 1 into the chest tube and 2 released at the ankle into the hip. The gears condense in sequence, forming 1 notched cog. The chain winds around the cog and slides into the trapezoidal section conical cavity formed when the pedals, cranks, drive wheel and cotters are released by this grommet, enabling springs to draw the lot into the axle box. So now we have the handlebars and the front wheel within the forks in the chest tube. The seat, rear forks and wheel are in the frame hip, and the drive mechanisms are secured in the axle box. All we have to do now is to telescope the frame. As you can see, it is a small but untidy package until we fold it. And it slides neatly into the crank grommet we removed earlier, which stows away neatly in my nostril. I think we have a world beater. Brian went down the pub, Terry went down the pub, and Brian says, pint towel? And Terry says, yeah, pint please, Brian. So they both had a pint. And then Terry says, same again, Brian? Brian says, yeah, why not? So they both had the same again. And then Brian says, I've had a date today, Tel. And Terry says, yeah, I've had one and all, Brian. So they both agree they've had a day. Then Brian sees a woman, and Terry sees a woman. And Brian strolls over, and Terry strolls over, and Brian says, can I get you 2 ladies a drink? But Terry, he never says nothing. And Betty says, all right, Daff? And Daphne says, yeah, all right, Bet. So they both say it's all right, and they're both on pills. So Brian buys around, and Terry buys around, and Betty buys around, and Daphne buys around. So they all 4 bought around, and they're doing very nicely, thank you, and having a good time. Then they all 4 bought another round. And then Brian says to Betty, how about coming back to my place tonight? But Betty says no. And Terry says to Daphne, how about coming back to my place tonight? But Daphne says no too. And after they've had a few more, they say, ooh, it's time to go. So Betty goes, oh, see ya. And Daphne goes, yeah, see ya. And Terry goes, yeah, okay, see ya. But Brian, he never says nothing. So Terry goes, that's the way it goes, Bri. And Brian goes, bloody women, bloody cars. And that's the last thing he ever does say, because he jumps up, bangs his head on a jack and beer beam and falls down dead. And Terry goes and has a piss. But when he come back, he sat down and cried. And the Furry Fleur-de-Lis wallpaper in crimson and gold says, here, Tel, why do you cry? And Terry says, I cry because Brian's dead, because Betty turned him down. And the tapestry bench over here says, here, wallpaper, why do you turn brown? I turn brown because Terry cries because Brian's dead, because Betty turned him down. Then says the bench, I will creak. Then the sailing ship in the glass case on the wall says, bench, why do you creak? And the bench says, I creak because the wallpaper's turned brown, because Terry cries because Brian's dead, because Betty turned him down. So the sailing ship says, I will sink in my blue-green plaster sea. Then the wrought iron tables, with the formica tops say, here, ship, why do you sink? I sink because the bench creaks, because the wallpaper's turning brown, because Terry cries because Brian's dead, because Betty turned him down. Then says the tables, we will hack and crack people's shins. Then the decorated chamber pots on the ceiling say, here, tables, why do you hack and crack shins? We hack and crack shins because the ship sinks, the bench creaks, the wallpaper's turned brown, because Terry cries because Brian's dead, because Betty turned him down. Then says the chamber pots, we will bang and crash together. Then the log effect gas fire in the 18th century granite fireplace with the Maori carvings round it says, chamber pots, why do you bang and crash together? We bang and crash together because the ship sinks with the bench crease, the wallpapers turn brown, turn white, and turns it down. Then says the fire, I will go out. Now the woman who ran the pub, who wore Harmony hairspray and told the customers to put their beer on the mats provided, says, yeah, fire, she says, why do you go out? And the fire tells her. So she said, well, right, I will slip up on this Indian rug, on this wood pattern vinyl floor, and slip up on it and fall on this obese golden Labrador. So she slips on the rug and falls on the dog, which howls, and the businessman, alarmed, leaps up and falls into the red translucent neon-lit buffet display cabinet, gets covered in coleslaw. Half a salami shoots off a dish and goes boing into the plastic lobsters and brass warming pans above the bar, falling on Venetian goblets, showering Caterham Old Boys rugby pack in green glass. And they back off into the chromium-plated jukebox playing blue suede shoes, shoving it into the aquarium, drowning Elvis and electrocuting the goldfish, and chucking their bitter over the ruby shades of the weeping plastic candle lamps. The lamps go out. Bang, 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 frightening the trendy school leavers in their tight-pressed jeans and floral shirts and shiny casuals, fighting the pensioners to get out through the farmhouse doors and with the medieval latches, and shoving a space invader table with rubber plants through the pre-Raphaelite stained glass windows with the Christmas lights, and knocking over a case of flintlock pistols on the wall. They smashed the hunting braids and the hunting prints and painted plates and china thimbles, and Fat Ethel, hit by porcelain shrapnel in the dark, drops her match into her whiskey. Boom! It explodes. Flames lick up the simulated damask nylon curtains en route to the Jacobean beams. The chamber pots fall off, smash the tables to bits. The ship slides into the fire. The wallpaper peels into black coals. The beams give way. The pub falls down. And Terry gets buried with Brian.
That was a wonderful, wonderful Emile Sercombe. My only word of advice is don't go to a pub with him. So more applause, please, for Emile Sercombe. Okay, we're going to take a break now, 20 minutes, and then we'll be back with me.